right. Looks like it's connecting. So let me just check the three platforms. Anything you say from this point forward can and will be held against you.
No
There
worries.
it goes. There it goes. Yeah, there it is. Boom. Okay. We are we are on. Okay. Let me just check X and yeah, YouTube. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. I have to get a little intro music coming in as we used to. We got a special show today. I'm real excited about this. I don't know how many people are familiar with infusedlights.com and Gregory Jones. I've been tapped into him since about 2018, and we were going to try to get together back then, but you know how it is. The universe is never late and it's always on time, but I'm really excited about this because we just had a meeting. As people know, 4,000 plus shows. I never meet with anybody before a show because I like to keep it spontaneous, but we had some things to talk about. I think we're going to have some future collaborations. In fact, I know we are. And I believe you'll see that as time goes on. But let me just welcome Gregory Jones from infusedlights.com to Soul Speaks, Soulogy Speaks. Thank you for coming in and sharing space with us. And I'm looking forward to spending some time with you and finding out a bit about your story and your purpose. You've been, I have so much respect for people, doing this work online since 2012. You know, and you see so many different frequencies out there, so many different mirrors and reflections, and as we go through our own shedding and detachment from identities and lessening of judgment and prejudices and biases, and through that evolution for myself anyway, anybody that I see that's out there doing it consistently every day, whether I resonate with them or not, I have tremendous respect for because I know what it takes. And so I know you're like that, and I do resonate with your work tremendously. And and I also know that you have a full-time job in the real world or the old real world or whatever you want to call it. But you're constantly putting material out there, and it's expanding rapidly, which is phenomenal. Not just in the volume of the work that you're doing, but in the quality and the creativity and the ingenuity and the heart and the soul and the spirit of what you're doing. And after talking to you for the last 30 minutes, I know that you're in it for the right reasons, which is phenomenal. So, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming in, Gregory.
Well, thanks for having me, Todd. Yeah, man, sounds good. So I don't even know where to start. I don't do many videos like we were speaking before. It's all about the mission, right? So, I don't talk to much people anymore these days. I feel like a lot of people fell off, and some of the real ones that we were all connected to are still at it. Obviously, look at me and you. We're right here, right now, right?
Hmm.
So. So yeah, maybe if you just prompt me with some questions, I could be able to
That's what
flow,
I do.
be able to flow a little,
I hope I
be
can
able to
do that
flow a
after
little
all
bit
these
more
years.
because there's so much that comes with everything that we're doing.
Well, one of the things that excites me too, I mean, I'm 63, although I don't look at the linear thing anymore at all. I mean, I haven't for quite some time, and there's so much that we could talk about in terms of the evolution of what's been happening to us as individuals and as a collective, and especially now in 2025, where we seem to be swimming with the current now and getting assimilated and accustomed to the energies as they return to the organic, like some people say, the original blueprint, that type of thing. My philosophy, I guess, or my truth is in we came into this series of incarnations, and now we're in this summary life. We came into this thing, you might say, with our personal akashic and collective akashic, and we're going to leave with that. But something in between happened, especially in this life, where we're getting all these things coming into alignment. Where we're going to combine our experience, which is really the value of these incarnations, with the akashic that we came in with, and now we're at this period where we're going to start creating and collaborating where two or more gather and spreading the soul, so to speak, through new means and methods, which is really what you're doing. But I guess, and one of the things that excites me too, that's why I mentioned my earth age, is because you're young, and it's exciting to see more and more people, young people coming in. But you've been doing this for at least seven. I know I've seen you for 7 years at least. And so I guess my first question would be, did you have a wake up experience?
Oh
Or
man.
were you born this way?
No, so I just jump right into it, um, I grew up in Southern California.
Mm,
Um, you know, um, after high school, I there's a couple different things over here. You're either a dock worker or you work in the oil field. You know what I
mm,
mean? Or
mm,
there's other jobs, but like if you're an industrial job. So I ended up getting a job at an oil refinery as an operator, like, as being 19 years old. So I've been working for a long time, and in doing so, I've become an industrial firefighter through the company, and so now I'm a supervisor now for the refinery after I've been doing it for 20 years now, and being a firefighter for 20 years now. So now my job is more relaxed. I'm like Homer Simpson. I run the refinery on a console, like kind of like a nuclear board. It's a
mm.
very serious job. I work long hours, 12-hour shifts. But let me get right into the awakening story. So I was just, hardworking guy. Got married, didn't know anything about jack shit, as you want to call a sleeper. And I was married and I had a couple kids, and me and my wife, going into details, we had a little bit of a falling out, to the point where I was destroyed. I was at my lowest point. I wasn't staying in the house. I, lost my kids, my family, essentially, to the point where I was barely holding on with just my job, sleeping in the car, sleeping in the garage kind of thing, and a very heartbroken time. And, there was a series of, emotional release for 2 to 3 months, like as a grown man that doesn't cry much, crying, letting it out, and, from all the childhood stuff and everything else. Um, so I was in a garage that night and it was 2 in the morning, and or no, well, before I fell asleep, I was sad, and I asked God. I said, hey, like, why is this fucking happening? Excuse the language. Why is this
No, you don't worry
happening?
about the
And
language. This is
yeah,
Soulogy.
yeah. So I was like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And I kind of
Yeah.
had that plead, like, why have I been forsaken? Kind of
Mm,
a plead. And about, I don't know, 2:30, 3 in the morning. Now you got to remember, I'm in a garage. It's pitch dark. I have a futon in there. I'm sleeping in there. I have to go to work the next day, 5 in the morning, and the garage lights up. There is a silhouette of a light being across the back wall and the ceiling with angel wings. I was shocked. I was stunned. I couldn't I couldn't move. It was like sleep paralysis. I couldn't move. And there was a faint music behind it. And I was like, what is this? It was a supernatural being. If it even felt like it could have been me from a past life coming back to talk to me. I don't know what it was exactly. I mean, I do know it was communication, extraterrestrial communication. And in my head, the word Orion was screamed into my head over and over and over and over. And it was less words, but more imagery. And that was my profound awakening experience, because that opened the door to everything for me. As a smart person, I work in a refinery. I have my degree, process technology. I was like more on the logical side, where it's like, I need to figure out what the hell is going on. Like, why did this happen? So that stemmed everything, the whole turning point for me, because imagine having lots of friends and doing lots of things with normal people and trying to explain this story to them of this being coming and speaking directly to my mind, I became the crazy one, and there's lots of rabbit holes that came with that. So, I started to go online. I said, okay, light being with wings, Orion, typing all these things into the search bars. And then I found this thing, Archangel Orion, and so I read the little excerpt story, and there was a drawn picture of, what Archangel Orion looks like. And it fucking looked like me. It was so
Wow.
weird. Like it fucking looked like me. And, even how I had my hair at the time, everything looked like me. And I was like, I felt fucking nuts. I even went over to my mom and like tried to explain, the one person you trust in the world would be your mom, and she's looking at me, she's shaking her head, and she's like, okay, she listens to my story, and, I'm 30 years old, I'm a fucking man, so, I leave, and then next thing you know, the whole family thinks I'm fucking nuts because she tells everybody, right? So, anyways, that led me to be on the search. Okay. And then, what starts happening is you're seeing all the fucking numbers, right? 1111, 333, 444, like all this weird stuff started happening, like, weird rainbows of lights that would, be reflecting off of a certain type of way where, you feel like you're getting signs from angels, from God, from everywhere I go. Everything I did was like it was like a movie, like like signs from another world. It's still happening till this day. It has never stopped happening. Okay, so it's never stopped happening. The numbers, the signs, the messages, you get those goosebumps on your arms and legs, back your neck, that come up where that something's trying to communicate with you, so that's kind of how it started, so then once I started getting hit with numbers all the time, I was like, what does this mean? So I kind of went through Facebook, and, you know, typed in a couple things, or, I think I asked my friends a couple messages on what happened. Well, next thing I know, and I was on social media too, because you got to consider, even though this was happening to me, I was in a very vulnerable spot because, of the heartbreak of what was going on with the separation with my wife and not being with my kids. And I grew up from a broken family. So it was like the one thing that I did not want to happen as a parent when I was going through it. So I was completely shattered. So I was using social media, quotes to make me feel better when, I was going through this process. And so, you read a motivational quote online, it can change your thinking. It can change your mentality when you're going through a hard time. Like, say, sometimes you have to go through the struggle to become the strength, right? So I was using social media for myself. So then I started, to share quotes to other people, because the full circle of healing is when you're able to use your experience to help someone else. It's very healing to use that process. And, it's kind of like walking the talk. When you're helping others, you're healing yourself, right? So that's when I got into the social media groups. I ended up finding like the 1111 movement. And, part of that, one of the big things with connecting with people is I'm a life path 9. So I, through the numbers or whatever, went on some page, found that I was a life path 9, went down that rabbit hole, went down the numerology rabbit hole. And I ended up finding another life path 9 named Jerome. And he started a group called the Life Path 9 Family that's not active anymore, but it was active, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. And that's how I connected with a lot of people, Todd. And that's how we got into the same groups. But I know everybody has kind of a similar story, because that's how a lot of us all connected into these groups. And it's just weird, because when I found the 1111 group, I tripped out, because my childhood home that my sister still lives in today, the address is 1111. Okay, so I grew up in 1111. My birthday is January 1st, so there's all these ones that come into play here. And it's almost like, hey, we're fucking with you. Like like whatever's going on, whatever, this matrix that we're in, that we created for ourselves, but we're, God pinpointed, focused through this this lens, we all have our own lens, but we're all one, it's like, hey, don't forget, while you're here, so it's almost too much coincidences in one, for it to be what's going on. But there's a lot of details that come along with that. So back to finding the groups and finding people and using the quotes to help myself, I realized, you know, so these quotes are outdated. There's not good graphics, there's not good nothing. Like I have some skills, like, like I can do this better, so that's kind of where it went. And that whole situation turned into infused lights. It turned into me seeking light that infused into my body.
Mhm.
And it birthed this thing through my soul to come out. And it has grown over time. But, that's when I started, make my own image, making my own quotes, or simply taking a quote and making it better. Because everything was a lot outdated, and not enough people are making content online. Everybody's regurgitating a bunch of stuff that's been shared for years, and there's been lots of trial and error with that. But yeah, we ran the groups, we started groups, we connected with a lot of people, and over time I stopped kind of connecting with people because I was spending too much time trying to figure out how we're going to make this work, because there's a team of us that are here, and this is the messages that I got from my spirit guides or from the beings from Orion that I talk to. I call it the Orion Council. I know there's other people that talk to them too.
I call
Um,
I
or
call it the you, me, we, and it.
yeah,
There's subgroups of it, but
there's an energy that we're tapped into, and it's
yeah,
part of
yeah,
our ladder, our spine, our awakening that we're able to tap into. It's like we're antennas for this
yeah.
consciousness. Okay. And so anyways, so I kind of lost my track of thought there. um
Well, you were talking about how you were trying to put stuff together, and then
no,
you
yeah, all right, so
started
then
an
the
interaction with other people, and it was basically taken away from what you were doing.
Right, so that's what it was. So like I learned how to do logos, I learned how to do websites, I learned how to do videos. And so, I had a little focus group, a couple chat rooms here and there, and I was constantly getting hit with, "Hey, can you help me with my logo?" or "Hey, can you help me with my website?" or "Hey, can you do this?" or "Hey, can you do that?" And I was always willing to do that, and I'm not saying that they weren't my friends or what I was doing, but it was taken away from infused lights. It was taken away from the chit chatting. Like, I have a mission. I'm on a mission here. Like, I'm a wizard. I have to do this, and if I don't do infused lights, shit starts to fall apart. And
Yeah.
there's been lots of things that we've been going through. It's like these layers of being stripped away from us. And I call us the untouchables or the chosen ones, but I don't like to separate myself from the collective. It's very hard for me to say, but it's like the ones who see. Okay. So there's been lots of things that have happened to us. Like I've lost my home. I've lost my home 3 times in the last, 5 years. Thankfully, I am back with my wife and my kids and my family, and I made that happen.
Mhm.
The awakening made that happen. Has changed things within me, and in this process, my wife has also had an awakening, and she's from it's funny because within her awakening, she got contacted by Orion too, and she had no idea that even happened to me.
Far out. She didn't.
So
She didn't know that happened to you.
no, because
Wow.
she thought I was nuts. You know what I mean? So she thought I was nuts. So
Oh,
there's things to keep to yourself after a while, right? So then you're just you're living this double life because you're in this online community that is happening to, and then you're working in the real world, and it's like Todd, you go out into the real world, and people just have no idea of what's happening, and then I
yeah.
always thought that they should make um I know you've been trying to mainstream it by talking to everybody, but they always thought they should make a damn movie on what's happening, because my story isn't the only story and it goes into way more detail. But, this whole, having an awakening experience either through, you know, a life tragic change in your life or whatever the reason may be. A lot of it comes from hardship. Some doesn't, you know what I mean? Some people just, happens to them naturally, or they're just awake already, so but definitely the story about people finding each other online through technology to come together with a common goal is absolutely crazy and movie worthy. Obviously Hollywood's owned, you know what I mean? And they push the evil agenda because they are interdimensional demons. But that's a whole other story. So I just think that there should be more, I guess, light on the whole story thing of us coming together. And maybe in the future, let's accomplish what we're doing here. And sometimes that idea is like it comes on the fly. It comes on the fly. But we're all getting stronger. The real ones, we're getting stronger.
Maybe we're making, and this is what I've actually been shown this a few times, but the whole universe is watching us. This is the movie. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yep.
Like we're not just limited to reaching 8 billion people. This is, all timelines, all dimensions, all aspects. But yeah,
Yeah.
keep going. Thank you.
No, so yeah, it just definitely is the movie, and there is power within us that are doing this work. Like I'm reaching millions, but if I wasn't so busy with my job and all this other stuff, which is changing because I just got promoted to supervisor. There's like all these things that are coming into play, and I got promoted to a position where I'm not going to be working half the time with the same money, so that I could have more time focused on this. Um, and it's been a rough ride. I feel like a lot of us connected and then a lot of us fell off for whatever reason. It was almost like the energies weren't ready. Like it was like this period. And for me to slow me down, I had to have some really bad shit happen to me. Not necessarily with the family this time. There's many layers. I had to lose everything. I had to lose my house, lose my clothes, lose everything. And me saying that is maybe I wanted to highlight there's something going on in the world right now. Not a lot of people are talking about it. There's a problem with mold in people's homes. Um, you can go on TikTok or social media and type in mold toxicity or mold poisoning, and it's really growing right now. And I don't know if they're spraying the skies with this shit, like a chemical warfare that's going on. And I don't know if you're aware of this at all, Todd, or not.
Oh, I think
There's
it.
a there
Yeah, I think it's much deeper than that. In fact, I
Yeah, I
just
think so do I. And then, so there's a lot of sickness going
yeah.
around right now, okay? And it's one of the big ones is mold, and people are not talking about it. So, long story short, we moved from one city to another, and when I ended up getting back with my wife and making amends and trying to start over again, we moved to Huntington Beach, which is in Orange County, California. And we had a nice four-bedroom house in a nice neighborhood. Anyways, long story short, that under the foundation of the house there was a leak. There was a leak under the house. There was a flood in the house, and the people that rented us the house, they didn't tell us, but there was black mold growing under the floor and through the foundation of the whole house, and it literally poisoned me, my wife, and the kids. But my wife got the worst of it, and we didn't know what the fuck was going on. Anyways, long story short, that sent us down a medical journey of learning the medical system, how bad it is, how they're not helping people that are truly sick, on an eye opening to the food, to everything else. So there's not just aspects of communication with extraterrestrials and trying to build a platform to actually help people break out into a higher consciousness. And also, when you do that work, it's almost like you get hit with other things so that you can learn about multiple layers of helping people. So I won't get into much more details, but the mold is so bad in California, and people are sick everywhere and they don't even fucking know it because they're going to the doctors for, you know, because it's a neurotoxin. It messes with your head. It gives you fibromyalgia. It gives you, detox symptoms where you're, if it's not your throat, your nose, you're having some kind of neurological thing like fibromyalgia, arthritis, gut diabetes, whatever. And there's a big problem over here. So I've already helped about 40 families get away from mold toxicity here in California. It's the materials they're making the houses with. It's killing them.
Yeah,
It's killing them, and people don't know about it. And it's absolutely wild. It's wild.
that is
And
crazy,
so
man.
I don't need to touch more on that basis, but what I'm trying to say is like as this journey goes on, and just recently there's been multiple layers of learning on top of what we're doing so that we can keep because the mission hasn't changed. But for us to get out of our comfort zone and learn new skills and learn about new things to bring it back to the table on what we're doing. And I truly believe that's what happened. And I believe that's why, I'm out of it now and we're in a good spot now. I mean, you can obviously see like we just had to buy new furniture. Like I have an air mattress in my background of my room. It's empty. It's empty. It's because I lost all my furniture from mold toxicity poisoning. So
Wow, dude.
anyways, the kids are doing good. The wife is getting better. She's 75% better. It takes a while to detox this stuff out of your system. But in that experience, my wife also had an awakening. Um,
I was going to ask you that
through the
because, yeah.
through the medical field because the suffering was so much. They actually cut her stomach open. There was a lot of things that happened from this situation. We ended up having a lawsuit and won in court and all that stuff from the situation. So yeah, it was very serious, very serious. But there's a lot of people that are getting attacked um by mold here in California, and not just California, across the U.S.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah. That's a really good point. Let me just interject for a second because I,
yeah,
I
no
picked
worries.
up on that. I picked up on that, and then because you had said that your wife then had her own awakening,
Mm-hmm.
which was obviously connected to yours, and then you had this reunification thing. But
Yeah.
I was first marveling at your story before you got into that because that's something, and you eventually said it, but I mean, that's something that happened to me. And I've seen it with many people, in 4,000 episodes of this show. And that is this kind of crazy, direct relationship between, I mean, I used to say in my first 2 years that I was holding the hands and metaphorically of the devils and the demons in one hand and the angels in the other. So you were going through this descension kind of thing and this ascension at the same time. It was
Yep.
crazy. You know what I mean? It was like the equilibrium was the inverse uh, point of those two streams. So, and then when I listened to this story about the mold, and I've heard this as well, and one of the things I've noticed in my work over the years and talking to people is there is this frequency of fibromyalgia, autoimmune Lyme disease, three or four other lupus, three or four other things, and these medical crises tend to be part of these people's stories, and many of them include healing, full healing in different ways, not in a non-linear way. Some people might be instant, some people might be over time, but there seems to be a direct relationship, and I think that's fascinating with the story of you and your wife. You're obviously a very tapped in. I would imagine that, to be in a situation to go through the evolution the two of you have gone through, and as a family, that the two of you together are ready, but I'm sure on your way to being one hell of a powerhouse in this movement that can't be stopped, regardless of all these physical things that have been thrown at us. And I think that's the last thing I want to say about, just to conclude it. I've said this for a long time, like I'm almost twice your age, and I've had my own medical stuff over the years, but something's happening with the bodies. We've overcome these GMOs, these fluorides, these chemtrails, the
Mm-hmm.
programming, the psyops, the bullshit, the fuckery. And so something's going on there. You know what I mean? And so like, there's something about the energy that you and your wife, that you and your family, and then also those 40 families that you touched. There's something about the energy beyond words that's affecting this grid and that's countering the bullshit and the fuckery, especially in a place like that where you're at, because it's very, very dense, as you know, because you've been there. I lived there a couple of times, like I was telling you. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's fascinating to me that there's such a strong representation of what you described, and I just kind of reiterated. But yeah, keep going, man. Thank you.
No, yeah. So, it's this thing. Say, okay, you know, it sounds cliche, but it's like we're here to save the world, okay? And for whatever that may be, if that's the fluoride in the water, if that's the mold in your home, if that's the GMO food, there, whatever, it's like, okay, you accepted the path to go down this path. You are a warrior for us, and you're gonna have to experience it so that you can help others. Okay.
Yeah.
um straight out, far out,
That's
um
another attribute that I'm seeing. You talked about how everything, what the timing wasn't right, and it
mhm,
seems like, and I started to notice this in 2023, that as I was talking to people, because a lot of people I talk to are practitioners, right? They were dropping modalities, dropping processes, dropping their practice, reinventing, deconstructing to reconstruct, you know, being told, get rid of everything. The same thing happened with Soulogy. Let
yeah.
it go, let everything go. I mean, and this is another attribute that I'm talking about, is that in your story and in your energy, you're driven by what I would call the Trinity energy. You're, in other words, as you serve yourself, you're serving in equal degree the other and the collective. So you're not here for yourself. You're not here for the money. You're not here for the fame and the fortune. You're here because there's a purpose, and that purpose is taking on greater proportions because we have found each other. And I believe that the non-physical connections through our energetic expressions, actions, words, and thoughts coming into alignment are what are really pulling us together. So I'm really excited about this story. Thank you again.
No, you're welcome. Yeah, the story is there's so many moving parts, Todd. There's so many things that can't be pinpointed down, but man, we're here, we're doing it. We are soul within the body. All these experiences are to wake ourselves up to that soul, to that consciousness. I am tired though. I am tired. I know a lot of people are. So I'm feeling like we're coming out of this fog for a little bit. To be honest, it's actually rare to even get me on the phone because it's been like, fuck, I've been in survival mode. The whole time being in survival mode, still working on infused lights. And so if I kept up with what I was doing from back in the day, my page and everything else would be a lot bigger, but because of the poisoning, but I had to learn these steps. I had to learn these steps and make it through these steps so that I can be ready for what was already given to me. You
Would
know
you
what I
say,
mean?
yes, absolutely. Would you say, generally speaking, whether you're speaking of yourself, of me, of your wife, your family, and these other 40 people, even if they're not like tapped into these particular groups and light worker starseed type things,
Hmm.
that these traumatic pressures, and at least certainly on an individual basis, that in general, I would say like the primary uh, effect or the primary evolution is that person is taking responsibility for themselves. That person is, in whatever way they do it, is taking responsibility for themselves and saying no to the food that's being offered or whatever the case is. That it really is the soul coming out of that person, a lot like what you described with your wife's awakening.
It definitely is like that, man. It's definitely happening, and shit's been so fucking crazy for everybody with just the state of the world in general, the politics, the cost of living, everything else is going on. That is what's happening, and I feel like there's another wave of people, and there's been multiple waves. Okay, and it's not slowing down. and they need people like us and platforms like us that get them straight, okay, and get their soul to calm down because it's such a big experience coming out of the fog, okay, and a lot of religions prey on people coming out of the fog, and and that's not a bad thing, for the person because they want community, they want to focus that light into some way, but there are wolves in sheep's clothing, okay, that are harvesting these energies of these people that are awakening up, and it's why it's important for people that are not in it for the fame or not in it for the money or not in it to be part of some cult. We're in it for the soul. We're in it for the collective consciousness rise because we're ready to go to the next world, to go to the next stage, whatever that may be. I don't know how many times we want to come back to this planet, but it is definitely
And we can
been
convert
a
it.
ride,
We
been a
can
ride.
we're raise the fucking roof,
Right.
and convert the planet to where it's it is
Well,
what it.
that's what
Yeah.
we are. We're to bring that heaven to the planet, that consciousness to the planet, and it's a state of being. It's a
Yeah.
state of being. We're tapped into it. We're in and out of it, in and out of it, and it's like it's that's another part to it. It's almost like you're getting a little test from the higher power, the Almighty. It's like, hey, can you stay in heaven if I poison your whole family and almost kill your wife and kids? Like, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like with the whole, it just there's so many different things. I know that's kind of a crazy analogy,
No,
but
it's not
that's what
a, it
happened to
is
me.
it's not a crazy analogy. When I woke up 14 years ago, and it was very much, not the exact story, but successive traumas, and then boom, I'm homeless. Uh, when the first day I went out onto the street, I heard, you know, the name Job, Job from the Bible. And I'm not familiar with the Bible. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what does that mean? The patience of Job, because you've heard that over the years. But over a period of a few weeks, I went by this bookstore, and all of a sudden I see this book by Robert Frost, who's one of my favorite poets. I open up the book, and it's this whole story about Job in his own version, right? But it tells the story, and that story isn't just about the patience; it's about all the shit that was thrown at him. Just what you said. Can you still have this? Can you sustain and expand this faith based on the shit that's thrown at you, and see it for what it is and convert it and transmute it and alchemize it, which is exactly what you're doing. And
Hey,
many
Todd, you
people.
hear me still?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
Okay. No, for sure. And that's what it is, man. And as speaking as the Bible is, growing up, I grew up Roman Catholic. And my mom put me through private school for 12 years. I was an altar boy when I was a kid, So I have this thing where I know about the religions, like because as growing up as a Catholic, you have a religion class. Um, you know,
CCD.
yeah, you have a religion class every year, that you get graded on, and part of that religion class is to make that into a history class so that they get the right credits with the state. So your religion class, yes, you learn about your religion, but you also learn about every other religion. And the way the Catholics do it, they say, and this is why Catholics better than this religion. That's how they teach you, right? So I know I've read the Bible. I've had to do study reports on it. I've had to learn about other religions, and I think that's what the awakening has done to me was to see it as for what it is, for what it is, and I'm not trying to bash nothing, but it's a false light because they're trying to harvest your light for their
Well,
cult when it's supposed.
it's part of the infrastructure of the
Right. Your light's supposed to be for everybody, not
yeah,
just that
yeah,
church, because God is everywhere. You know what
yeah.
I mean? So, I guess that's the best way I could explain it is, everywhere's church. You know what I mean?
Well, I
It's
mean,
not just
oh,
that.
absolutely, it is absolutely.
Yeah.
And I studied. I read a lot for about 18 years, like a couple, two, three books a week, and a lot of it was it was all kind of in this arena, right? And that would be philosophies, religions, and then I started traveling with Soulogy, running around with a suitcase and a microphone around the country. And I ran into the Mormons in Utah, and I ran into some Pentecostals, and I ran into some Eastern religious, streams of people, Buddhism, whatever. But yeah, it to me, it's all part of the infrastructure. It's just a copy or a subcopy or a subcategory of the entire thing. I look at the whole realm, the powerless powers that be that we're transforming through these individual stories. I look at it as a narcissistic realm because it's
For
like that,
sure.
it's like
That's
that
definitely what
parent,
it is. It's definitely
right?
a narcissistic realm. And I feel like people like us that are on this path are to, shine the light so fucking bright that these people that are having awakenings, they get stirred down the right path, without getting brainwashed into another system.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way we break free. And that's another reason why I started to infuse lights, because there's more parts to it than just the graphics and the quotes that's going on. I'm building a huge, online bookstore. I don't know if you checked out my webpage at all. But I went ahead and got my license. I went ahead and got the publishing license to do so. And, I front that at my own expense so that I can offer others extremely affordable prices for knowledge. And, I'm building it. It's been a process of building it, but, there's thousands of books on my website now. And you could think of any, the power of now, how to, focus your mediumship, how to, raise your consciousness, how to, influence other people, how to think big, how to make money, how to do whatever the hell you need to know is I'm having it on my site. And it's just $1. And if your first book's free, you type in code free book 333 at checkout, and your first book's free, and they're all digital copies. And um, that's one thing that I am told to do, is to make information free for people, or extremely cheap for people to get. So when they have these awakenings, and you can infuse them with light, because people are seeking knowledge. They say, okay, I had a extraterrestrial experience, an angel talked to me, or something talked to me. What is that? So they'll run to the church, and then the priest will be like, oh, come here, give me your money for the collection basket, give me this forever, right? So it's more so like, hey, you can learn now. We're in the age of information. We are here to give. We are here to say, hey, you can find out what you want to know through your experience. You're having a hard time. There's no excuse. You can take $5 and grab 5 books and change your consciousness, change your thinking to, grow in that type of way.
This is powerful,
So
man. Can you see this?
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
I
that's my
pulled it up.
site, and it's a work in progress. It gets better and better, and I sell bundles where you can get all the books at once. Um, so, it's a process. And so what I do is I use these digital books, and I drive an hour to work, an hour home every day.
Right.
And I put the book into it reads it. I have a program, it's a free app. You can have like a PDF reader or whatever, and it will just read my book for me as I'm driving to work. And you'd be amazed at the how much you can raise your consciousness by downloading other people's lives into your consciousness.
Yeah.
Because literally, the people that live their whole life, they write books that are super smart, or super tapped in, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. You start downloading their
It's
life into
phenomenal.
your mind, and you grow exponent, like, so
That's
much.
that's phenomenal. I mean, it's like I was telling you. I mean, I probably read a couple thousand books, right? And I
Yeah.
stopped reading when I went to the streets. And then because when I came off the streets, I got my computer, my first computer, and I started to, do this work. But you're exactly right. I mean, I would spend every night reading and taking notes and journaling. But you're right. If you've got an hour commute and you've got access to this, I mean, that's what you're doing. You're downloading. When you're reading, you're downloading. And that's another thing
Yeah.
about you were talking about this. You were talking about this before we started the show, and you were talking about the relationship between technology and this awakening, which I saw, and you saw it obviously, because I remember in 2012, 2013, when I came off the streets and the internet at that point had been around, but it started to explode. And then, like you said, you had this ability to kind of like go into whatever part of the library you wanted, and these libraries would be, which is where I found you, 1111 movement, or an empath group, or a starseed group, or an Orion group. And
Hmm.
so, the pace at which we started to learn accelerated dramatically, and of course it's just done nothing but grow exponentially. So I commend you,
Well,
man.
there's
This
a
is
lot of knowing too. There's a lot of knowing that it's almost like it's not the Great Awakening, it's the Great Remembering, right? So there's a lot of knowing that comes behind that. So, you know, I could write a book and have so much knowledge, but there's other things that I have time for, Um, but yeah, so that's the kind of the path is like that I'm being shown is to, be that light, but then when people see that light, you infuse them. And
ah,
you infuse
that's
them
the
by
name.
giving them the free the extremely cheap tools to
Yeah.
do so, and it I mean, obviously we've been working on this for 8 years now. And it's a lot of work, and we're not getting paid to do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of things that you do, a lot of things that I do, but it's like if we don't do it, man, we don't feel right. We don't.
That's one thing I want to make sure people understand too, because you know, you know, like even people that have been around me, like say on a daily basis, as I traveled around and say I stayed with somebody for a week back in the day, or even 3 years ago, or whatever. It's an it's an all day long, everyday thing. Like even today, like I know you share a lot. I share probably about 4 or 5 thousand memes a month, right? And
Yeah.
I love what you said about how you got started, because now and then when you're in the grind, you're like, oh, I got to go do this again. I mean, my elbow tendon hurts from sharing. But the thing is, I'll go, I'll lay down at night and kind of review things, and I'll just take a look at the notifications, look at a few comments, and I will see every night 2 or 3 people saying, thank you so much for sharing this today. It's exactly what I needed. Or I just went through this, or, so I mean, this is real. It may not make sense in the old paradigm and the way we appraise things and the way we looked at what's successful and what's meaningful, because money was tied to it. But I do believe this is a new form of abundance that this energy is bringing in.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And but I mean that's the goal, I've there's been so many people that, what we do is touch them. But for us, it's the path to walk, right? So, we're all in this together, right? So me sharing quotes is me walking my talk. It helps me, and what helps me helps you. It's almost like full circle energy, and it has to be that way. It has to be that way, or I can't do it. You know what I mean? I can't do it. It's what motivates me. It's what motivates me. My for a while there, I was pretty big on. I'm on all platforms. It's not just Facebook. I'm on everything. Currently, right now on X, my account is suspended, and it's suspended for no reason. They prompted me to add my phone number. When I added my phone number, the system glitched and thought someone was hacking my account, and they suspended my account on X. And I
Well,
was really
that's what they told you, but it might have been this meme right here.
well, yeah, for sure, because there
And
was something
that's what
like,
I love about your stuff. You've got
no,
like
I don't care. I don't care.
but I mean, you've got like real, real street smart, spiritual wisdom, and then you have like, which is how I was told to identify Soulogy in 2012, which was the spiritual part, et cetera. But a spiritual activism, like not like this.
You have to tie it all together. You
Yes,
can't
yeah.
just be all light. We are both. We are the darkness. We are the light. We are infused. One good way to tie it together is humor. You know what I mean? It's humor. It's a damn show. We're watching a show. But what I want to say to you is don't get too invested in that show. You're here to bring your own show to this world, you know? Um, a lot of people get so invested it controls their life. You need to have direction in your own life. And that's one of the reasons why I do what I do is because I want to give you the tools to be that because I wasn't there. It took many years of self-development to get to where I'm at now. Many years, and like I said, Todd, you're older than me. You have to do the work on yourself so that you can give to others. You have to.
Yeah, right
So
on. Right on. And but another thing about this new energy, I would call like universal energy, this flip that's taken place in 2025. Part of what I was shown was that prior to this year, uh, the things that we were putting out there was against the grain, was against the current, and there wasn't an immediate reciprocation. And now we're kind of reaping energetically what we've sown, and we're adding to it. It's almost like we're on a surfboard at the on the at the peak of the wave, and we're able now to add another spin to it because we don't have all this resistance and these shoes dropping, these rocks dropping on us. But the thing, what I was going to say is that you're right about this personal that'll not change for anyone. I was told in 2011 when this started for me, you cannot miss a step on the soul highway. But that sounds a bit linear because we were in a linear environment. But one of the great things about the work that you do and the work that people like you do is that this energy is such that let's say it's me and I come across you and you wake me up. What took you 6 or 8 years might take me 6 or 8 months because you're carrying the code and expressing it in both the physical and non-physical streams. And I'm able to pick it up consciously and unconsciously and kind of speed up and get to where you're at or get close to where you're at. So that's another great effect of the perseverance and the consistency that you've brought to the table.
for sure. For sure, we're all in it together. Like you said, it's you know, we are speeding it up for the next set. Um, they just need to find us,
Yeah. Yeah.
and what our work out there is a reflection of, the processes that we've been through. Us having this conversation now, we might not even know the person. There could be someone having an awakening watching this right now and seeking for answers, So, um,
Oh, I guarantee it. I guarantee it. It's out there. And this what I love about your stuff too, and the actually, well, I got to say, I
hey,
resonate
Todd,
with
I
it.
need two
Yeah.
minutes, dude. I need
Oh
two
yeah.
minutes. Is there any
Go
way
do
I
what
can
you,
step out for like 2 minutes, come right back?
dude. Go ahead. I'll keep
Cool.
it
I'm so
going.
sorry.
No, no. What I was going to say about what he's doing is I resonate with it. I'll admit that first of all. I totally resonate with it. Like we just met. We've exchanged messages over the years. Off and on. But today we had a 30-minute conversation, 20-minute conversation before the show, and then we took a break. And I went down to the store to get some water, and on the way back, I was like, I know this dude. Like it's like we are connected, and we've all had these soul recognitions occur. But the thing I love about the spirit of his work is it's not singularly or overly identified with some of the streams that are out there. So, for example, we have disclosure stream, we have conspiracy stream, we have a light worker stream, we have a starseed stream, LME. You have all these different streams, and it's got the whole thing in one. That's why if you look at his stuff at infusedlights.com or you go to the Facebook page or whatever platform he's on, you'll see the diversity of his expressions, which is really cool. I mean, and that's really what Soulogy has been about as well, is to try to bring, what I guess the way I would bring it down to is, like I put these posts up, these memes up every day, and some people get confused and will send me a note and say, are you going through something? Do you need help? And I'm like, I post and again, this is not speaking of me, but speaking of the energy that he brings to the table and those like him, and I believe Soulogy, which is, it's information that opens your mind more than it was before you received it. So in other words, it makes people think. And one thing that I've seen in 2025 is that it used to be something would come into your awareness, and then you would kind of sit with it and kind of figure some stuff out, and then kind of go through a process and then come out the other side and go, oh, okay, I got this now. And you could, embody it. But now it's almost as if once you gain the awareness of something, then it immediately becomes embodied, even though it may not be fully conscious, but it's happening very quickly now. So I think it's really important to promote this open mindedness, because that's key. We cannot grow if we've got borders and boundaries up, in terms of our beliefs, or even, as these beliefs fall, they fall because we have a more open mind, because we're willing to look at the other things that are on that fulfill the parameters of that particular subject or arena. Yeah, go ahead. You good?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Sorry, guys. Appreciate
That's all
it.
right. I know we've only got about five more minutes, but yeah, I was just reinforcing the things that you're talking about. And I'm really, I don't think you heard me, but when I was coming back from the store, because I went to go get some water, I was like, dude, I know this dude. Like, what is, and I've been through that. We've all had that soul recognition, but just it hit me like solid too. And it wasn't like a non-physical, energetic thing. It was like a solid, like, whoa, like this is right. This is alignment. This is synchronicity. This is meant to be. And, this is the right trajectory. Almost like seeing, I call them physical synchronicities in 2025. Like we used to see the numbers. Now they're coming in other forms, and they're more visceral, they're more physical,
It's
so.
it's really intense. But Todd, me and you have been connected for a long time, and there's always been like, hey, we should get on a call,
Mm,
or hey, let's do it. And it's not even like you didn't say anything or I didn't say
uh-uh.
anything. It just kind of didn't go
It
through because
wasn't
of
time.
whatever is going on.
Right.
Yeah, and
Right.
it wasn't a no.
Right.
Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It wasn't a no. It was just like, hey, I'm, out of my mind trying to figure this out, or you're out of your mind
Right.
trying to figure that out. And it just been, but there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about.
We should.
It's hard to get it into just an hour. There's
No.
so
No.
much
No.
to
I
talk
think
about,
I really feel like, and I don't. I hope this isn't out of line, but I really feel like that we should get together online here. At least a couple times a month, if not once a week. That's
No,
probably a lot
it's
for you.
super easy to talk to you, dude. Super
Yeah.
easy. I've talked
Yeah.
to a lot of people.
I'm.
I've been to the point where like I've got on camera before and I feel like I'm zoning out. Like I feel like I'm falling out of my body because it just doesn't feel right. Um, I'm at the point is I don't care anymore. I've been broken so many layers and so through is I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you, you know, the spiritual aspect of things, what is coming through to us. As I see it as a collective, we are doing massive waves. We are doing massive waves. Not just me, not just you. You know how many of us are online
There's a
putting out
lot.
quotes,
Huge.
putting out things? They can't control us.
No.
We are fucking way bigger than you can possibly imagine. We've been suppressed, just like how my account got suspended on X. I had a post blow up about evil reptilian overlords controlling the
I
weather.
saw that
Okay.
one. I
Okay.
saw that one.
It was going viral. It hit 20 million views overnight as I was sleeping, and it was growing. And I woke up and my account was suspended. Okay.
There you go.
So there's a force that we're here and that
Yeah.
we're battling.
Yeah.
As much as people don't want to talk about it, I don't care. It's real.
Well,
You
the great
know,
the great thing about the internet, and X is a perfect example. X is the, like the poster child of, oh,
it's fast paced.
they save free speech, but this is a perfect example. You put up a graphic that says the reptilians are controlling the weather, hits 20 million people overnight, and you're suspended. Now, come on,
Yeah, for no
and
reason.
yeah,
No, but it's not only that. It was an attack. Okay, so I got prompted by the ex platform. So I got a notification from X that I've never gotten before. It said, "Hey, you need to add your phone number to your account." Okay, I didn't have to do it, but it prompted me. It was like 1 in the morning. I'm laying in bed. I was like, maybe I should put my phone number so that my account doesn't ever get lost, you know? I was prompted by them. As soon as I put my number in, boom, account knocked offline. I've done 16 appeals. They only let you do a appeal every 2 to 3 days. I've done 16 already. No answer, no email, no nothing, nada.
How long has this been? It could only
It's
been
been
like,
it's been over a month. It's been over a month
okay,
now.
yeah, yeah. Because
It's been
that's where I found you again. I found you again
yeah.
on
That's
X, and then I started sharing. Then I save them
no
and put them into Soulogy, and then I saw you acknowledging it, and then oh wait a minute, So
no.
now
So that when I got back into it, I got into the X, and that's when I started connecting with a lot of creators again. Like my friend Flo, that posts a lot of good time content on X. He's on board with me. He's on board with me with spreading the consciousness. We have a little group chat going on. I started to reconnect with some people that are the real ones, okay, that are really doing the work. And I'm not saying that everybody's not real, but like we're serious, like we're knees deep in this thing, or more than that, more than knees deep. We're up to our chest. Um, but yeah, that's what happened. They prompted me and they banned my account and they will not answer me. And it was almost like they don't want my stuff there.
well, of
So,
course not. But yeah,
so
and this is what I find amazing and encouraging. Actually, is that you could take some other subjects like say Israel or there's just a lot of subjects you could take that's really what gets the play, right, the airtime. But you're coming in with a true with a true dovetail of all these different things. Like I was telling people when you took a break, it's the conspiracy, the disclosure, the light worker, the star seed, the elementals, the
mhm.
this, that, and that. Because I said for years on the show, up through 2023, we need to take this mainstream. Let's keep going. One day it'll be mainstream. But what I find fascinating is what you said, and that is that there's no way that they need the, let's say, the antagonists, the bad actors. They need the internet to attempt to put their programming out, right?
Well,
But at the same time, they can't stop. There's just too many of us. You know what I
look
mean?
at that. That's what they've been doing to us for years. Okay, the internet has opened the door. It's
Yeah.
technology. It's like if you watch the first video I've ever made about infused lights, it's about changing the world with technology. Okay, and infusing light with technology. I had this big download of using the phone and use technology to fight back versus the mainstream news, um, the narrative, okay, the narrative of everything, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I jumped on X is because it's so real time, so fast. You can get the people's attention of real time events. So I was like, okay, well, if I can bring everything that I've learned and bring my light and my consciousness by making fun of real time events to bring people in to the light and to what's going on and using humor to do that. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So if you want to make fun of the Epstein thing or you want to make fun of, Bill Gates and his GMO modification or what are all these trends of these people or the corruption going on in our country right now and use a meme to bring some people into some light to some knowledge and I was doing that. I was actually blowing up on X and look at they banned my account and it's not going to stop me. I have
Dude, I share, I shared,
it,
I
it,
shared, I shared your. Once I figured out where you were, and I saw everything you were doing was on Facebook too, and maybe it's because I wasn't seeing you on X anymore. When I would share out, I'm playing with the algorithms, right? And so I wouldn't just share to Soulogy. I'd share to a couple of other groups that I've shared to for years, and I'd get notifications. It'd be like like one of them, and it may have been that one. I don't know, but it was like something like it was like 12,000,
yeah.
and I had put it in like in this group like a day before, so yeah. And it wasn't just one, there was two or three of them. But yeah. So all your stuff, just so everybody knows, and we're gonna, I think if you said, we're gonna get you back on here so people can become more familiar. We can get the word out of what you're doing. But all of your stuff can be found at infusedlights.com. Is that right?
All my stuff's on infusedlights.com. My main social media is going to be Facebook. I have about 50 social media pages, probably even pages that you don't even know about, Todd. They're
Wow.
actually pretty big, 50, 60, 70,000.
Wow.
Um, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. I am a
Dude,
and I'm the only
dude,
one
that's
doing it,
wild. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
yeah, so I have like infused health, infused fantasy, infused prayer, infused. There's so many infused
Wow.
things that are out there. Now, a lot of them are not upkeeped
Right.
because I've been trying different things. I've been working on the website.
Well,
I brought the bookstore out. You know what I mean? So there's
plus
many
you're
layers. You
one
gotta
person. You're a one man
right.
show.
There's one person, but
And
now
I can relate to that. I believe it.
with technology now, there's tools and stuff now, and I'm getting better every day. And there's
Yeah.
things that we can teach each other,
Yeah.
to free up time,
Yeah.
because a lot of it's time, and it's hard to do this mission and relationships in in a normal setting. It's hard to work. It's hard to do it. Like it's definitely hard to. We have to learn the tools so that you can navigate both lives. Because if
Yeah.
you don't, then you'll fall apart. You know what I mean?
No.
You'll
Yeah.
definitely fall apart.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely right. And I know there's a lot of back and forth on technology. Have you heard of Mateus De Stefano? You ever heard of him?
Mm,
Mateus De
I'm
Stefano?
really bad with names and faces. If you told me a little
He's
bit, yeah.
huh?
If you told me a little bit, I would. Yeah.
He's a young guy from Argentina. He's done some pretty incredible work over the last 3 or 4 years, and even before that. But he's got like my friend Franco that I used to interview a lot before he transitioned. He's got like full memory, full recall of other lives, other planetary lives, other ascension cycles.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he talks about doesn't sound like any of the other metaphysical people out there to me, the ones that the bigger names. He talks about how this ascension is going to be in tandem with technology, right? And so I get it more what he's talking about listening to you because it really is. If you really think about the nuts and bolts of this expansion, or let's say the personal expansion, the personal ascension, it's almost like the humans taking the point has taken the lead, and it would just it's kind of ironic because when you compare the human to all of our multidimensional aspects, right? Uh, it's almost like the mundane and the menial, but it's not. It's there's actually so much power in the choices that we're making in this alignment of our thoughts, words, and actions, especially when it comes to, oh my God, this is my purpose, and I'm going to run with this thing now.
Yeah.
So I can see it. You connected some dots for me today. That's my big takeaway today, and I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for coming in, and I hope one day that we can sit down with you and your beautiful wife and pick up on that energy. I'm looking forward to doing more shows with you if you're open to it. And I really want to support you and those like you and getting the word out of what y'all are doing because I believe that people just need to see it. Like you said, somebody might just seen it today and boom, they lit the screen,
We're
lit their
we're we're not only helping people, Todd, we're creating other leaders, okay? And
yeah.
and that's the goal, right? But yeah, we're definitely doing it. And I want to thank you for having me on. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it
Like
has.
I said, I kind of been the lone wolf for a while, just because, I have so much going on, dude. I have so much
Dude, I
going
can.
on, and I'm willing to help if you're serious. If you
Dude,
ain't serious, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
that's
That's
what
where
I'm
I'm at.
saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason I've blown up Soulogy 6 times.
Right. And when we work with other co-create, yeah,
But that's
exactly.
but the time but
I've blown up my shit too. You
but
ain't the only one.
but really, well, you said it earlier. It's like with us connecting, like today. It took what 7 years. I mean, the timing wasn't right. It's divine timing. We're in the flow. We're coming into alignment. We're converging, and the trajectory is limitless. And we're kicking ass and taking names. So it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor and a privilege. I got the chills all up and down my body most of the show, especially right now. But
Yeah.
brother, I just want to say Blessings of peace, love, and grace to you and your wife and your family and all the endeavors. I hope to be a part of it. I feel like it's going to happen, and that we're going to have that equilibrium that I believe is occurring with so many people, as you talked about, that are around the world doing this and have been doing this for a long time. So thank you very much for what you're doing. Thank you for your service to humanity and to the universe, man.
Well, sounds good, Todd. Nice talking to you. And anybody out there listening, man, if you're searching for some light, man, we're here. Send us a message. Check out our website. Check out what's going on. We also have a group called Just Infused Lights, and it's all light workers. It's all people that I've connected into there,
Right on.
and we help each other. We
Right
help
on.
each other. That's
Right
it. So
on,
we're
brother.
we're here.
All
So
right,
I will
brother.
talk to you. I'm going to head to work, but I am around, Todd. You text me, whatever,
I
open
will.
communication. Doesn't matter what time. I'm up throughout the night.
Okay.
Just hit me up,
Okay,
whatever.
brother. Take
All
care,
right,
man.
sounds good. I'll see
Peace
you.
out.